Mic check 1 2. It's the Y2K Collector, and most of you know that shoot 'em ups are my favorite category of video games, and I have not done a top 10 shoot 'em ups list in a long time. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you my 2025 top 10 shoot 'em ups of all time to me. These are some of my favorite shoot 'em ups that I'm going to go over with you. But before we dive into the top 10, I'm going to go over 5 honorable mentions. Starting off with Battle Unit Zeoth. This is an amazing game. This is a side-scrolling shoot 'em up game on the Game Boy that I've played way too many times. I've beaten this game too many times. But it's pretty basic in terms of the gameplay. I mean, you can't get too complex with the original Game Boy, but I think they did a good job with the graphics. You play as this mech warrior, and basically you don't get a lot of variation in terms of the weapons that you get. You just basically get one main gun, and as you continue to get power-ups, the shots spread from 1 2 3, I think all the way up to 5. So you get a pretty widespread shot that takes up a good chunk of the screen, and allows you to kind of just deal a whole lot of damage. This is a gel coat classic, and I think this is definitely one that you would want to check out on the Game Boy. The best part is that this game is pretty cheap. I know when I got it, this was like a $12 game. I don't know if it's gone up in price since then, but I mean, even if you just look at that cover art, that's just classic. Look at that mech, man. Just sick. Sick 80s/90s graphics on that. Love that. One of my favorites. Another honorable mention is Imperium on the Super Nintendo. To me, Imperium feels like Super Nintendo's take on a Robo Alesti, or maybe like a Musha. That's kind of how it feels to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but I really don't like the music on Imperium. I put it in the honorable mentions category just because there aren't a ton of really good shoot 'em ups on the Super Nintendo, and I think that this was a very unique entry that doesn't get a lot of attention. We tend to look at some of the other big names in the shoot 'em up category. One of them being Axlay, which is not on this list because Axlay is very popular on the Super Nintendo. But yeah, definitely Imperium is going to get an honorable mention here, so I figured I'd throw this one in there. Another one that is really cool, I played this a lot, especially when I first got it, is Metal Black on the Sega Saturn. I do believe Metal Black came out on a couple of consoles. If I'm not mistaken, I think Metal Black came out on the TurboGrafx as well. But this is the graphics in this one is very old school looking. It kind of looks like an old school like anime style to me. The way the graphics look, right? It's not like there's not like a lot of moving pieces here. It's not how do I say it? It doesn't feel like a bullet hell style shooter, but it is a side-scrolling shooter. And the unique thing about this one is that you kind of get these power-ups. You collect all these power-ups that allow you to do a large blast based on how many power-ups you collect. It's a pretty cool game. Metal Black is definitely a cool one. I would recommend checking it out if you have a Sega Saturn or if you just want to emulate it. This one is a pretty cool one. Another honorable mention is Batsugun. This one is available on the Sega Saturn. This did not get a US release until now. So Limited Run is actually going to be releasing Batsugun on the Switch, the PS4, and I think the Xbox One. So if you've never had a chance to play this game, you will pretty soon. And you won't have to pay the astronomical price to play it by getting the Sega Saturn version. But this is a pretty cool game. This is a cave shooter, I think, or a top-down shooter, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I played this one, but this has like classic 90s arcade style music, and just the feel of this game is very retro. I really like this shoot 'em up, one that I recommend you check out. And then the last honorable mention is Android Assault on the Sega CD, The Revenge of Bari Arm. Now, this one is really cool to me for a couple of reasons. One, I love the sprite work in this game. The backgrounds are beautiful, bright, colorful sprites. The colors are really saturated in this one. I think they look great. And I also like this one is because it reminds me of one of my favorite shoot 'em ups that you'll hear about in a minute. But one of the mechanics of this game is that You start off as basically a jet plane, like an airplane, but as you continue to get power-ups, you actually get the ability to transform into a mech that, you know, has more, obviously, firepower, more capabilities. The only thing is that every time you get hit, like if you get hit too many times, then you'll transform back into the plane. You don't have the ability to transform at will. It's really just based on how many power-ups you get. But I do really like this game. My favorite weapon in this one is the homing weapon that allows you to just really, you don't have to aim anything. The bullets just kind of find their target. So that is a joy for me. I think this one also has some really good music, as most Sega CD games do, in my opinion. Sega CD has some of the best soundtracks and some of the best music. So Android Assault is definitely one that gets a big shout out from me. So those are the honorable mentions. Now let's get into the top 10. And these top 10 are in no particular order, just pulling them at random. First one up, R-Type 3 on the Super Nintendo. As I said, the Super Nintendo doesn't have a ton of shoot 'em ups that I think are acclaimed, at least not to me. Everybody knows the R-Type series, of course. A lot of people know about Axlay. Again, that's like a cult classic, and I left Axlay off on purpose. A lot of people know about it. But R-Type 3 is definitely a really cool side-scrolling shoot 'em up, in my opinion. R-Type forces you, all R-Type games force you to play at the R-Type pace. You cannot speed it up. You just can't speed R-Type up. You just kind of have to play at the R-Type pace, learn the levels, get the power-ups, and kind of blast your way through. R-Type is one of those games that you really need all of the power-ups as you get to certain points in each level to really make it through the level unscathed. Once you kind of, you know, get blasted, if you lose your weapons, it becomes like 10 times more difficult to make it through the level. So this is one where you really kind of have to learn the levels and make your way through. But ultimately, R-Type 3 is probably, in my opinion, the best shoot 'em up game on the Super Nintendo. A lot of people might argue Axlay. I say R-Type 3. Next up, we have another Sega Saturn gem, and this is Radiant Silvergun. I think just the overall fast pace, the pacing in this game, the weapons in this game, and the music in this game make it top tier to me. This one also got a re-release, I think through Limited Run. This one was also re-released on the Switch. So again, not one that you have to pay the $200 or $250 price tag to get the Sega Saturn version. Thankfully, a lot of these shoot 'em up games are being ported to the Switch, especially these games that never got a North American release. So that's good news for us over here, because these were pretty much just locked overseas. But now we have the opportunity to play them. Radiant Silvergun is definitely in my top 10, one that I recommend you check out. Okay, we got another Sega game here. You're going to see a lot of Sega here. Next up, we have Lightning Force. Yes, Lightning Force. One of the few shoot 'em up games with, I guess, a misspelling, I guess. I think they were trying to say Lightning Force, but they called it Lightning Force. And this is the fourth installment in the Thunder Force series. Obviously, you have Thunder Force 2, which I think is probably the most common and most popular Thunder Force entry. Thunder Force 3, which took it to the next level, that was the one that I probably played the most as a kid, Thunder Force 3. I feel like I beat it when I was in high school, Thunder Force 3. It took a lot of tries. It takes a lot of memory. You have to learn these levels to really beat them. And then you kind of, like with Lightning Force and Thunder Force, you kind of have to know which weapons to use in different sections of each level. You can't just, I mean, you can try to make your way through with one particular weapon or one particular gun throughout the game, but the way they design these games, you really have to know which guns to use at which points in the level. And within the Thunder Force series, you can shoot forwards and backwards. So you also kind of have to know at which point in the level to, aim all of your firepower at the rear, aim it all at the front, and then when to split it between the front and the rear. So I think all those mechanics make Lightning Force and Thunder Force 3 for that matter. I didn't give Thunder Force 3 an honorable mention, but it could get an honorable mention. I think that's what makes these games really fun. I will say, if you're prone to seizures, do not play this game. A lot of fast-paced moving parts, a lot of colors, but really good. And for Sega Genesis, some really good music for the Sega Genesis, in my opinion. Really good stuff here with the Lightning Force game. All right. we're going to get Dreamcast into the mix here, and we are going to include Mars Matrix. Now, Mars Matrix is probably my favorite shoot 'em up on the Dreamcast. The Dreamcast is home to a number of really good shoot 'em ups, including Gunbird 2, which could have, again, that's another game that could have gotten an honorable mention because Gunbird 2 is amazing. Gunbird 2 has all of the nuances of late 90s Capcom characters. The all the bravado in each character when they speak. There's just a variety of characters. Gunbird 2 is amazing. I could gush over that game all day, but I'm not. On the Dreamcast, you also have other really great titles like Giga Wing and Giga Wing 2. Those two aren't some of my favorite shoot 'em ups. Those feel like very formal shoot 'em ups in my opinion. But Giga Wing and Giga Wing 2 is there as well, along with a couple others. But Mars Matrix to me is probably the best shoot 'em up in my opinion, just because of the mechanic, the way Mars Matrix works. It is a bullet hell top-down shooter. But I think what separates Mars Matrix is the ability that you don't get a bomb, but what you do get is this gauge that allows you to absorb all of the bullets on the screen and then unleash them back out to all of your enemies in one huge blast. But during that time that you're absorbing the bullets, you cannot take any damage. And you cannot use it indefinitely. Well, you can use it indefinitely, but the thing is, every time you use it, you have to wait like a certain amount of seconds for it to charge back up. So timing when you use that move is key. Like you really have to know when to do that at key points during each level and during each boss battle. So I think that mechanic alone makes Mars Matrix, it's a standout title. I also kind of like the music. This game has some of that like early 2000s kind of like funky what's the I'm trying to think of the like it like think about like the Matrix, like the movie The Matrix, the first one with Keanu Reeves. It has that type of music in it, and you a lot of movies I feel like in the early 2000s had that kind of music. I can't think of the genre right now, it's killing me, but if you guys know what I'm talking about, let me know. You heard that type of music in like The Matrix, in The Crow, and all of those early 2000s like sci-fi type of movies. Yeah, really like funky rockish kind of jazzy, really like techno-ish kind of sound. But really cool stuff. Definitely one I would recommend. As you can see, I'm a big fan of Mars Matrix. All right, next up, I'll just get this one out the way because it is my favorite shoot 'em up of all time, and that is Hyperduel. I've gushed over this game so many times on this channel, but Hyperduel is definitely um, my favorite shoot 'em up of all time. Primarily because it is the only shoot 'em up outside of I think the Darius games. So basically, in the Darius games, I think you can take the enemies and turn them into helpers, if I'm not mistaken, in the Darius shoot 'em ups. Let me know, for all my shoot 'em up lovers. Let me know down in the comments. But the thing in Hyperduel is that, first of all, the one of the coolest features about this game is that you can play each level either in airplane mode or in mech mode, and you get the ability to choose which mode you want to fight in. Obviously, if you're in airplane mode, you're more stealthy, you're more agile, you're faster, you can dodge bullets a lot easier, but your firepower isn't as strong. When you're in the mech format, your blaster is stronger, you deal more damage. But what's even cooler about this game is that in addition to power-ups that obviously increase the strength of your main blaster, you also get the ability to get helpers, additional airplanes that fight alongside you that are autonomous. You can't really control them. You can't control where they go or what they do. But essentially, what they're there to do is to take out enemies on your behalf. And then also, they can wind up taking damage for you. Like if they're flying in front of you and, there's an enemy attack coming in, they can actually take that bullet for you, and they don't just go down after one hit. They can actually take a few hits before they go down. And the best option about that is that you can either choose your helper to be in an airplane mode, or you can get these like little mini mechs to fly alongside with you. You just have to time when you actually, run into the power up, because that's what's going to determine which type of helper you get. Really good music in this one, really good gameplay. The pacing on this is really good. Hyperduel is top. Best shoot 'em up, in my opinion. Let me know, for all my shoot 'em up lovers, if you agree. But it is not cheap. Hyperduel is like a $600 game. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's an extremely expensive game, even as an import game. And with all of the games that they're bringing to the Switch, from Radiant Silvergun to now Batsugun to the Dodonpachi games, I'm really, really surprised that they have yet to bring Hyperduel to the Switch. I won't be surprised if we see Hyperduel on the Switch. I hope they bring Hyperduel to the Switch so that other people can experience this game, because it is a sick one. But definitely my favorite shoot 'em up of all time. Recommend you checking out Hyperduel. All right, keeping it going here, we've got R-Type Delta is definitely in the top 10 for me. R-Type Delta is probably the best R-Type game out of all the R-Type games, including R-Type 3. R-Type Delta, the music, the pacing, the weapon selection, the whole 9 yards. R-Type Delta is just a classic shoot 'em up on the PlayStation 1. I highly, highly recommend this one. I would say that I would put R-Type Delta probably in my top 5 of shoot 'em ups. It's just really hard to describe what makes it so good outside of just the music. It's got that classic PlayStation 1 graphics, that kind of 2.5D look to it. The weapon selection is great. The pacing is great. But again, it's an R-Type game, so you have to play R-Type games at R-Type pace. You can't speed it up. You have to just learn the levels, know how to get through. But it does become very addictive. So this is definitely one I would recommend you checking out on the PlayStation 1. All right, next up here, I did a little bit of a cheat. I kind of did like a 2-in-1, but that's just because I didn't want to pull out the PlayStation 1 version of these games, and that is the Ray Storm collection. So a lot of you might know that Ray Storm in particular is in my top 5 shoot 'em ups. Actually, I played a ton of Ray Storm in the beginning of the pandemic when it first started happening. But Ray Storm is a sick shoot 'em up. Some of my favorite shoot 'em up music of all time can be found in Ray Storm. Excuse me. Some of you asked me what the music is on the outro of my edited videos, and that song is the song from Level 2 in Ray Storm. So really like this game, a classic game. The PlayStation 1 versions of these games are roughly around $100. Maybe they've gone down since the remake, but you don't have to spend that crazy money to get them on the PlayStation 1. You can get both games probably for around 35 or $40. I don't know if this version of the Ray Storm collection has gone up. I used to have it on the Switch, and I sold my Switch version. I don't know why. I should have kept it, but I did keep my PlayStation 4 version. My PS4 copy is still sealed because I have other ways of playing the game. And at the time, I had it on the Switch, so I didn't see the need to unwrap it on the PS4. But I wanted to get it on the PS4 because I'm a huge fan of these shoot 'em up games, and yeah. I would definitely put Ray Storm up there, one that you definitely should check out. Okay, next up we have this. So this is a game that never got a North American release, and that is Glaylancer. So I've actually used some of the Glaylancer music in some of my edited videos as well. Glaylancer is a side-scrolling game, shoot 'em up game, where you don't get any type of like bomb attacks. At least I don't think so. No, you don't get any bomb attacks. But you do get a really nice selection of weapons. This is not like a bullet hell style shooter. And the pacing on this one is a little slow. It's kind of like almost at that R-Type speed, but just a little bit faster. It's got decent pacing, great graphics, and I love the music in Glaylancer. Glaylancer, there's no mechanic in Glaylancer that makes it really stand out like crazy like that. It's just a very well balanced and well done shoot 'em up that came out for the Mega Drive. We never got a US release until it was re-released by Retrobit, sorry. So Retrobit did a re-release, a North American release that allowed you to get the game. That comes with a manual and all this stuff here that you see here, and this cool little cart. There was also another dude that I met at I think it was at the Long Island Retro Expo. He was doing like not homebrew, but he had like his own version. He basically translated it for North America, and he had like these North American versions at the convention. I kept this one sealed because I actually have the download version. You can actually download it from the Nintendo eShop and play it on the Switch. I typically play Glaylancer on the Switch. The cool part about that download one is that you can actually rewind in the game. So if you get blasted out the sky, you can just rewind it and do something different. I know it's a cheat. It's not like playing the original, but I mean, it's a cool way to play Gley Lancer. Definitely a great shoot 'em up, one that I highly recommend you check out. It's definitely up there for sure. Okay, keeping it going here. Ikaruga. So Ikaruga is, again, another one of those shoot 'em ups that was really expensive on the GameCube for a while before it got a release on the Nintendo Switch. And it's funny because I said that in a video and somebody commented like, "You're lying. Ikaruga was never released on the Switch." And I'm like, I mean, where's my copy of it? So I have the limited edition copy of it. It's kind of like a big box version. I'm not gonna reach for it now because it's in that on that shelf. I don't want to reach for it, but Ikaruga definitely was released on the Switch. It was just released as a special edition on the Switch. So, but it originally came out on the GameCube. This game has a lot of story behind it. So if you're one of those people who really likes the story behind the shoot 'em up you're playing, you'll really like this one. I think the thing that sets Ikaruga apart from a lot of others is its graphics. It does have this very clean, like 2.5D, almost like 3D graphical style to it that I think is really great. And then it also uses this mechanic where you have two color codes, basically like a dark red and then a white, and you can toggle your ship to either absorb the white bullets or absorb the red bullets, and then you can release all of the bullets that you absorb back in like in a powerful attack. So you kind of have to time which side you're on, like which phase your airplane is in. Is it in a phase where it's taking red bullets or white bullets? Because that will determine your ability to either dodge, evade, or absorb enemy attacks to be able to unleash them back out. So I think that game mechanic definitely sets Ikaruga apart. I also think the music is pretty cool. It kind of has like this whole like, I don't know how to describe it. It's not like heart pounding techno sounding music. It's more like this adventurous type of sounding music, very cinematic kind of sounding music, especially on that first level. But Ikaruga is definitely a classic. A lot of people like playing it on the Switch. I actually like playing it on the GameCube. I think the GameCube version is pretty solid. But you can download this game on the Switch right now if you want to play it. I think a lot of these games you can download or play in another format, but Ikaruga is definitely up there. I would say it's in the top 10 for sure, shoot 'em ups, in my opinion. Based on the story, the music, and the mechanics, I think this is definitely a great shoot 'em up. All right, last but not least, we have Battle Garegga. So Battle Garegga, I feel like Battle Garegga it embodies a lot, right? You get this classic 90s top-down shoot 'em up feel. Very fast paced. It doesn't necessarily feel like a bullet hell. It just feels like a super refined version of Raiden, in my opinion. Much better graphics, much better mechanics, much better pacing. Weapon selection is amazing, but I gotta say, the thing that draws me to Battle Garegga every time more than anything else is the music. Great music. Now, Battle Garegga was originally released on the Sega Saturn. Getting the Sega Saturn version was like $250, or it was really expensive at one point. Like Battle Garegga, I want to say, was somewhere like in the 300 zone. Very, very expensive. And I didn't want to pay that much. But thankfully, M2 did release it or re-release it on the PlayStation 4. I don't think it ever got a Switch release, but I know it was released on the PlayStation 4, and that seemed like a really good place to get it because it was much less expensive. It does come with a manual, which is pretty cool. You don't really see too much of that these days when it comes to these PlayStation 4 and Switch games, but it does come with like a little pamphlet in the Battle Garegga game. And again, just that music. A lot of people ask me when I have those. So when I do some of my edited videos where I kind of do the opening scene on like a beach, someone asked me where that music is from. The music in those intros is from Battle Garegga. Really love this game, really love the music on this one. Huge fan. So those are my top 10 games with some of the honorable mentions. Let me know down in the comments if you've ever played any of these shoot 'em ups. Just some really quality titles here. Probably some games that you've either never played or never heard of because they're imported. or maybe games that you played a long time ago, or maybe just some games that you only played in the arcades. Let me know if any of these are standout titles to you, and I will catch you in the next video. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.